Hi, we're in Route 66. It's Greg Burdine. We're in day number 95, and we're just beginning 2nd Samuel. It's interesting. 1st and 2nd Samuel are named after the prophet Samuel, who anointed Saul and David, but Samuel is not mentioned hardly at all in 2nd Samuel. We find out we left 1st Samuel when King Saul died in battle with with a couple of his sons, and now we find out that David in chapter 1, David mourns Saul and Jonathan. He learns about their death from an Amalekite who, it's kind of awkward, but he falsely claims to have killed Saul, whether he did or not. There's some changes, but regardless, he is punished severely for even claiming that he killed Saul because Saul was the king. David mourns over Saul and he mourns over Jonathan, showing that he had great respect to the leaders that God had placed over him. And then chapter 2 of 2 Samuel, David actually becomes the king. Now, he becomes the king over Judah, but he hasn't yet become the king over all of Israel. In fact, one of Saul's generals Abner decides to appoint one of Saul's sons, Ishbosheth, to become the king over Israel. And that leads to a divided kingdom. Civil war breaks out. Some of David's men are fighting some of Saul's men. Doesn't go over really well, but it's going to get settled as we go along in 2 Samuel. So they're fighting. So a couple of lessons that you'll learn from these here. One thing that we find out from David, even though Saul had done him wrong, he chose to honor Saul. Character shines in how we treat our enemies. Anybody can be nice to people that are nice to him. It's how we treat those that are not so nice. Jesus himself, while he was on the cross, said, "Father, forgive them. They know not what they do." So treat your enemies well. That's what proves the type of Christianity that you have. Another lesson from that chapter, chapter 1, is grief is not weakness. David was a man. He was a warrior. He was a fighter. And yet, when he suffered loss, it mourned him greatly. His king and his best friend had died, and he mourned greatly for him. So grief is okay. Grief is not a sign of weakness. In fact, grief is a sign that we love somebody very much. In lesson 2, we find out that we need to seek God's guidance before making major decisions. The kingdom got divided because they weren't really searching for what God wanted. What God wanted was David to be the king. But David became the king over part, and Ishbosheth became the king over part. And it wasn't good. They should have sought God's will, the northern tribes. And then another lesson from this one comes from David. David did a good thing. Even when you're in the right, which he was, conflict may come. Trust God's timing. Trust God's timing, and don't try to rush it. David could have rushed it, but he didn't. He'll be the king, but God has got some timing. God's got some things that he needs to put into place before David is the king. So enjoy your reading today. It's just two